One of the things I've realized about being openly gay in America's political system is that it's not a deterrent. Growing up in a rural town in northern Wisconsin, I thought that you couldn't be out and an elected official. I just assumed that it would never fly, that you had to live in a large urban area to get elected as an openly LGBT individual. And we've seen that change here in this country. And you look at Senator Tammy Baldwin as just one example of that, and her remarkable success in 2012, and I know again in 2018. For me, one of my favorite internships that I ever had during college was working for the Gay and Lesbian Victory Fund out in Washington, D.C. And it was an organization that supports the election of openly LGBT individuals to elected office. And during my time there, we were able to help elect openly LGBT members in the state legislatures in both Arkansas and Alabama. And since then, I know that they've worked hard in city council races and school board races and other municipalities across the country to get LGBT individuals elected. And they're not just in your urban centers, they're in rural communities as well. And seeing that, I know that you can be who you are and get elected. What people care about these days is about the issues and what you're going to fight for. They want to know that you're working for them. They want to know that you're going to be their champion on their issues and their causes. One, sexual orientation or gender identity isn't really a factor and isn't a deterrent in our current political process, and it's something that I'm really proud of. I guess I always knew that I was gay, but growing up in a small rural town, I didn't think I could be out. I wanted to run for elected office as a either city council person up there or state assembly at some point, and just didn't think at the time that I could be an out individual, that it wasn't going to be accepted up there. And part of that was back in the very early 2000s, and it was before some of the cultural shifts had happened. Not now, knowing what I know now, I know you can, which is great, because I've seen other LGBT individuals run in rural areas like that, and I'm really proud of that. My own personal coming out story, it started coming out to a couple friends during college, and then to my family, and really to the public during the 2008 election process. They had all these lists of superdelegates, and one of the stories had a list of all the LGBT superdelegates, and the DNC had known, but it wasn't a public thing, and included me on that list, and that kind of forced the hand a little bit more, but it was a great thing to actually do that and really kind of open the door and allow me to really be who I am and share that with people. And it's something that I haven't ever looked back from, and something I don't ever shy away from. I think the attitudes towards the LGBT community in just the past few years has changed tremendously. I never would have thought a couple years ago that we would have had an openly LGBT member of the United States Senate, let alone a member of the LGBT member of the Senate from Wisconsin. I never thought that we'd see marriage equality this quickly in the country, everywhere. And I am consistently inspired by that change. I'm motivated by that change. But more than anything, actually, with it, I feel a call to action. Because I think people often assume that with marriage equality comes everything. And that's not the case. And in many parts of this country, you can still be fired for work, for being LGBT at work. So you can get married on Friday and fired on Monday. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to secure additional rights for the LGBT community. And I consider, we might have legal equality in the marriage sense, but we don't have lived equality in everything else. That we still, look in Wisconsin, we were the first state back in the early 1980s to include statewide protections and employment and non-discrimination for gay and lesbian individuals, but it doesn't protect the members of our trans community. And there are still so many states across the country that don't even do that. So I think there's a lot of work to do. And while we've seen some great shifts in support for LGBT rights, I know that there's even more that has to be done in order to be successful and really to have that lived equality experience for all. I think we're going to constantly see, LGBT or LGBTQ or LGBTQ+ continue to evolve. There are different understandings every day around what is sexuality, what is gender, and I think it's important that we try to be as inclusive as possible. I know that, in some instances it's going to take time, that some, people don't understand what the B and the T mean at the moment. So there's a certain level of education that the letters use. And I think over the course of time, it will continue to expand. And, I really want to make sure that it is an inclusive acronym that can make sure that people feel engaged and that those who represent as a part of that community can feel included in that name.